Well, hi, this is Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma Demystified and the QI Macros. In the last couple of videos, we talked about breathing and posture as a way to connect with people. Now, again, I was learning this back in 1990, 91, and I was at this one thing, and I can't remember why, but there was this woman district level, so she was like a level above me, and she was really mad. And she was talking really fast, and she was and so what did I do? I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? Let's do some rapport stuff. And I said, well, I can hear that you're really upset, and that's really a terrible thing. And so, what do you want me to do about that? And she went, I can't remember what it was. Right? And I said, I can hear that you're really upset, and that's just awful. And what can I do about that? And about the third time she did that, well, she said, I don't know. And she took a breath finally, and relaxed, right? So she followed me. So what was I doing? I was doing something called pacing and leading. So I was going, yeah, you're really upset. And I was talking really fast. And then I slowed my voice down, opened up my arms, and I said, so what would you like to do about that? That's leading. I went from pacing, what she was doing, to leading. It took her 3 times, but she calmed down. She was, well, I don't know. Took a deep breath. And then we got together and started talking about how to solve that problem. That's what's called pacing and leading. So if you have somebody who's, really adamant about something, or somebody who's really not adamant about something, I don't care what it is. Can you pace them and lead them by changing your voice? This is not hard. There was one guy named Jim who was an architect on one of the systems, and he was from back east. Now, I want you to imagine Albert Einstein with dark hair and a big dark mustache. He looked a lot like Einstein, only the early Einstein. But Jim would get up to the board and he would start talking like this and writing all kinds of crazy stuff. And there was a whole team sitting back here. And I was sitting there and I would notice that they would start to glaze over. Now, Jim wasn't totally unaware, but his response to people disconnecting was to talk faster and write faster. And so what I did is I'd go right up to the board and I'd go, I'd grab a pen and I go, so Jim, what I hear you saying is this, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Jim would back off and sit down. And then I would slow it down and bring it down for the rest of the room to understand. And after a bit, Jim would get tired and he'd jump back up and then every so often I'd have to get back in and go, so what I hear you saying, Jim, is and so I was pacing and he'd sit down, and then I could pace the rest of the room and lead them into a discussion about what was going on. This is pacing and leading. It's a very subtle but powerful way to assist you in getting the results you want when you're working with a team, because teams are made up of very different people. They're dreamers who can imagine the future. They're realists who can get stuff done. They're curmudgeons and critics who can tell you everything that can possibly go wrong with the plan. And you have to find a way to be in rapport with all three and negotiate and talk amongst them. All right, so pacing and leading might be a way to do that. I'm Jay Arthur. That's my improvement insight for this week.